Godzilla King of the Monsters has smashed its way into theatres, and with it, the reveals from the trailers are finally here, along with the new questions being raised about certain other titans and their whereabouts. One such question many had is, where was Kong in Godzilla King of the Monsters? And did he hear King Ghidorah's call to arms? If so, why didn't he answer it and attempt to journey to Boston? The novelisation of Godzilla King of the Monsters actually answers all of these questions and leaves us with a great setup for Godzilla vs Kong. It also reveals what Kong's relationship is to the other titans that are in the monsterverse. As we know, King Ghidorah, after believing he had killed Godzilla, began calling his new subordinates to arms, setting about the total destruction of the Earth. A planet-wide pack of monsters, hunting, destroying, and killing everything they came across. We saw all of the titans from the trailers and more begin to move, begin to fall under King Ghidorah's command, and yet one was noticeably absent: Kong, the King of Skull Island. So where was he during these events, and did he hear the call? The novelisation tells us that yes, indeed, Kong did hear the call, and he was on Skull Island at the time, not moving from his kingdom. So why is it that Kong didn't answer the call when so many others did? Many of the other monsters can be assumed to be intelligent, huge and lumbering, and no doubt would likely consider themselves to be strong and fierce, and yet they fell in line when Kong did not. The novelisation reads as the following. He heard the call. He had heard calls before. Not the enemies who killed his parents, the deep dwellers. Others, somehow more like him, when he was young. He did not hear them often, but in recent seasons the calls were more frequent. Once he had heard one of the others, near, very near the island, but it wanted nothing of him, so he did not care. But this other wanted something, wanted him to come, to hunt together, and he heard responses, many of them. For a long time, each season was much like the next. The rains came and went, the animals of the island were born and died, and he went on, as always. But something had changed now. It made him restless. It made him a little angry. Change was not good. Let them stay away from him, these others. He did not care about their places, their islands. Best they not come for his. He felt movement in the stone beneath him, and his anger grew brighter. The deep dwellers heard the call too, the crawlers with faces like bone that haunted his sleep. They were waking. The quiet was over. He scratched the itch on his ribs and began to hunt. So, as we can see from this excerpt from the novelisation, Kong heard the call. In fact, he's been called to arms before, it would seem. However, Kong considers him an alpha already, the king of his island. He doesn't leave his island. He doesn't come under the command of any other titan. He chose to ignore it, because he has his place in the world and his own natural order on Skull Island. He doesn't associate with the outside world, and therefore, when he's called away from his island, he simply ignores it. The other titans, it would seem, either did not consider themselves the alpha of their domain, or didn't feel as isolated enough as Kong to simply ignore the call to arms for fear King Ghidorah would eventually come for them like he did Godzilla. And perhaps the most interesting part of the novelisation's explanation is that Kong had heard calls before from creatures like him. Not the skullcrawlers, but titans similar to him. Could this be other Kongs? Or titans that are mammals? It's left intentionally vague, but it's intriguing nonetheless, and it opens a world of possibilities for the future of the monsterverse. Another interesting part is that he then began to feel something under the stone. The skullcrawlers, sure. Is this the seismic activity that the other titans sensed at the end of the movie? The reason they all began to converge on Skull Island? Now this is of course the setup for Godzilla vs Kong, but what could it be? The novelisation says that it's merely skullcrawlers, but they wouldn't upset the natural order enough for all of the titans to make a pilgrimage to the island. Or at least it's unlikely. This must be something larger, something bigger, potentially even something associated with the Hollow Earth theory, the entry and exit points for the titans to move freely around the globe at a quick pace. So to summarise, Kong did hear the call to arms. He simply shrugged it off. It angered him, but he shrugged it off. He sensed the natural order of the world shifting, but he, on his isolated island, did not concern himself with it. He chose to ignore Ghidorah's call, and because the skullcrawlers heard it, and potentially something else, something much larger, heard it, he chose to stay and protect the island, protect his kingdom, and protect all that reside within it. Kong firmly considers himself an alpha, but it's also likely that he feels very safe on his island, mainly due to the part of the novelisation that states he did not care for their places, their islands, best they not come for his. And therefore, because of his safe haven, he is reluctant to leave it and traverse the globe to assist an alpha he does not even associate with. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Kong in Godzilla King of the Monsters Explained. Did you like the novelisation's explanation as to Kong's whereabouts, or did you feel that it was a bit of a cop-out? And what do you think is causing all of the monsters to head to Skull Island? Do you think, like me, that it simply can't just be skullcrawlers and must be something bigger, or do you think it's just that, just skullcrawlers, and that is why every single titan on the planet is heading to Skull Island? For me, personally, it absolutely cannot be just the skullcrawlers. We also take a look at a narrative perspective and how they're trying to set up Godzilla vs Kong. I highly doubt that it is just going to be seismic activity and the skullcrawlers coming out from the depths on one island. If this was the case, then we likely would have seen the titans in the Birth of Kong novelisation, where we see the skullcrawlers coming out in their droves to destroy all of the Titanus Kongs. If that was the case, and all of the new titans were heading there because the skullcrawlers were back, they would have been in that graphic novel depicting Kong's origin. It just simply doesn't make sense. And also, like I said, if we're looking at Godzilla vs Kong and the setup for that movie, I would like to think there is going to be a little bit more behind just Godzilla vs Kong battling it out, and then there would be, again, an expansion to the world. So something happening with either the entry and exit points. Maybe the nuke that was set off in Godzilla's face has caused a disruption to the Hollow Earth, and there is something much larger coming out from the depths. Who knows? But I highly doubt it is just the skullcrawlers. But anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so please do drop them down below in the comment section. If you did enjoy this video, please do give it a like and share it. And if you are new here, please do hit subscribe and also hit that bell notification icon. As always though, I have been Mr. H. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.